All right, beautiful Sunday. Imara Ifawuyi here from Find Your Free, and today we are headed out to the Botanical Gardens here in São Paulo, and we're going to show you all the beautiful botanical gardens and some nature energy. It's about an hour public transportation ride out of town, so yeah, we'll be back. All right, we made it to the Jardim Botânico de São Paulo, the Botanical Gardens here in São Paulo, Brazil. This one, me and my children ended up having to travel out a little bit. We went ahead and went by train, by the metro. And yeah, it took us about an hour to get out here from where we live. And here we are. So when we arrived, my daughter thought it looked a little dry because we're used to going to some of the parks here that are very kind of dark green, bright, tropical. And we're just used to living in those kind of environments in the Caribbean or, up north in Bahia, Costa Rica. So yeah, she was being a little bougie when we got here. But as we walked, it became more and more beautiful, more and more lush. And eventually we ended up kind of deep in the bush, in the forest, which was lovely. And all I could hear in my head as I was walking, especially when we were going deeper into the actual forest, was, that there's so much medicine here. I kept hearing that. And, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is herbal medicine and plant medicine. And so anything having to do with the Amazons or rainforest medicine is like something I'm really into. And so I just kept feeling all these hidden, amazing things that I would find if I was able to explore the way I wanted to here at the Botanical Gardens. But, I'm into botany, and I wanted to see like some signs or some plaques, that would be designating this is an acai tree. This is but I wasn't seeing a lot of that type of demarcation. But what they did end up having was a museum, some kind of botany museum. And this is the museum. We stepped in for a little bit. It was a lot of information, a lot of reading that I don't think we were in the mood for. We wanted to be out in that sun, experiencing, more of what the Botanical Park had to offer. So we did walk through, and they had some interesting background on the indigenous people of Brazil. Brazil is, for those who don't know, obviously one of the biggest countries in the world. It's absolutely massive, maybe the biggest in actual size. Not the biggest, because like even the United States is a little bigger, but yeah, just massive. It's a massive, actually physically it's not bigger, but the United States is bigger in terms of population, okay? But yeah, here's some pau do Brasil, some of the special woods. And we came back out of the museum, walked around. They had a lot of little bodies of water, of course, just still bodies of water, little fake lakes and stuff. And those were cool and pretty, and the landscaping was wonderful. One thing about Brazil, always going to be some lovely landscaping. They also had this greenhouse set up, and they had like some deep tropical kind of garden going on in there. Again, I didn't see any plaques denoting what was being grown. I know there's a lot of, they call this an orchidea, but I didn't see any real orchids in there. I did run into some orchids later on in our walk, just randomly on the walk, but definitely have bromeliads and different amazing tropical plants. And yeah, we kept it moving from there. We did get an opportunity to see a very cute little creature. You'll see him in a little bit. Sometimes I find myself being urbanized that I really just want to be around animals and nature. And so this was fun. Here's a little armadillo. Super cute. We didn't want to disturb him. And then from what I know, armadillos, I believe, carry leprosy, leprosy bacteria or whatever. So, definitely didn't want to get too close to him. But what an interesting little creature, right? Kind of like a half rat, half, I don't even know. But they have a lot of those out here. They have a lot of different creatures out here. They also have those really funny snouted ones. I forget what they're called. They're so cute and they like to travel in packs. What are those called? Oh man, I'll get back to you all about that. But here we are going a little bit deeper into the woods. The kids and I wanted to kind of break over some of the barriers where they had it blocked off and go explore deeper in, but then we kind of decided not to. One, because you never know fully what's out there, and they do have vipers out here, so you do want to be aware of what you're doing, feel like you're completely prepared when you go into nature. So we came back up out of there, walked around the lake a little bit. One of my dreams is to eventually take some time and go spend it up in the Amazons, in the Brazilian Amazon rainforest, hopefully with some of the indigenous tribes, and just study. Like I really am very much in love with plants. I'm always experimenting, doing stuff in home. I'm very much like a scientist. My master's of science was in alternative medicine, but I focused on herbs and botany and cannabis and body butters and making skincare products, and that was just kind of like my whole thing. So one of the plants that I've really been getting into lately is cupuaçu, and what I do is kind of like an immersion with plants and fruits and things when I am working with them. So I eat them, I open the seeds, I dry the seeds, I process the seeds, I deal with the leaves if they have medicinal properties. I spend time with the plant, I go to the trees of the actual fruit, if it's a fruit, and I just do a full immersion with it, which actually, I forget what they call this in certain indigenous tribes, but that's actually a common practice when you're trying to learn the secrets of a particular plant, right? And so that is something I'm doing with cupuaçu right now, which is a fruit that is just really magical, a superfood, and it has these seeds that are just full of these healthy fats, lipids, and the seeds can be processed into this amazing body butter. And so I've been processing and just spending time with that fruit lately and eating the fruit and, you know, processing the seeds and just seeing all of what can be done there, because I like to make skincare products. So yeah, I was hoping I would run into a tree here. I know I saw the trees a lot up in Bahia, you know, just out and about. But yeah, it didn't happen, but that's all good. I'm sure there were some acai trees. Those tend to be tall and thin trees out here, but I didn't see them. You know, I wasn't clear about where the fruit trees were at. But it's all good. I know there was plenty of healing and herbs out here to experiment with, but they just didn't really have it designated. So we just enjoyed the walk and the breeze. And one thing about being inside the jungle energy is like it really cools down in there. And it was a really hot day here in the winter of Brazil. So we enjoyed walking through and enjoying the cool air. Oh my goodness, and it's just a spirit, a vibe, a natural mystic energy when you're just encased in you know, tropical plants and trees. It's like this protection. So we went back here and just enjoyed ourselves thoroughly in the coolness. You know, it was truly beautiful. This was definitely a place that I plan on spending more time in with my children or alone. I even had the idea for us to do like a Black Gringo meetup where some of the local expat community and just some of the Brazilian folks we know and just whoever could come through, and we'd have like a cookout. But I don't know if it was really a cookout place because it is a botanical gardens, but I didn't really see. Here in Brazil, it's a little different. At the parks and stuff, you won't necessarily see like a lot of spots to cook out per se. I think you have to kind of bring your own grills and do all that. And they like to do something called churrasco out here. So they'll be cooking up a whole lot of meat and stuff like that. But I don't see a lot of grills outside, you know, set up. So yeah, here we are. Look at that, y'all. Look how green and rich. You can tell there's even some water, a creek down there. You can tell that it rains a lot. It gets a lot of water through here. That's why we were a little surprised it was so dry on the front of the property, because then we came back here and it was lush. Yeah, we stayed back here for a while. Then finally came back out. And as that sun was starting to go down, it started getting really beautiful out there. Beautiful lighting over the lake. So these are some of the activities. You know, there's a lot of this kind of activity here in São Paulo. All right, yes, so that was a little short video just showing you our beautiful botanical gardens here, chit-chatting about some of the plant life and the flora and fauna of the region. And yeah, I mean, if you're into those kind of things, that is not something that's hard to come by here in São Paulo. There is a lot of nature. A lot of the parks are just carved away forests and what we call Mata Atlântica that has been preserved here in the city. So the forest is definitely respected and preserved here in this city, though it is, you know, a big metropolitan area for those who are concerned, because I know some of us are nature babies. We want to make sure we're not going to just be so concretized that we don't even have access to, you know, green life. Now, São Paulo is not coastal, so if you're someone who really needs the beach or whatever, your closest, probably most prettiest beaches will be about 3 hours and some away. But you know, you do have a beautiful and green or some beautiful green areas that you'll have access to if you come and are looking at São Paulo for a long-term living situation. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the places and things I can show you here if you come out to visit São Paulo. And I mean, basically, if you're interested in doing any city tours, or interested in learning more about moving to Brazil and what it would take, and want to consult surrounding that, or do any tours, you know, all of my links will be in the bio, so just check me out there. And yeah, we do some amazing cultural tours where we can show you some of the art scene, the Afro-Brazilian arts, Afro-Brazilian culinary culture and food, and just show you a little bit about, you know, how things are done here in Brazil. Brazil is very unique, very lovely, joyful place, and it's a blessing. So if you come on out, hit me up or link me prior to, so I can help you in your transition. And yeah, peace and love. Hey, all right. So I just did the last part and the camera wasn't flipped. So thank you so much for coming through and checking out the video. Again, check my links below if you're interested in learning more about life here in Brazil and moving here as a foreign person, as a Black American, or whoever you are. Peace.